Car stereo was once competitive and fun. In fact, it may have turned many of you into audiophiles because the sheer junk manufacturers used to put into cars was so bad that many preferred having nothing at all installed rather than the OEM equipment they found in the vehicle. Many car buyers in the 20th century simply couldn't even go home with the standard radio and speakers. Literally, taking their car from the dealer lot once purchased directly to the car stereo parking lot as soon as they were given the keys. Now, more importantly, from the 1960s through the early 1990s, you could easily upgrade your entire car stereo because all car stereos were usually single DIN units. Every car radio fit into every car. But car radio theft was a massive problem. Just smash a window, pull out an expensive car radio, and you could sell it to anyone on the street that owned a car. It was an easy way to make a buck, and it did quite well. But instead of creating a simple locking mechanism, manufacturers figured out they could create custom designs, making car theft much harder. Actually, the theft of the radio was still pretty easy, but you might not be able to unload the stolen merchandise as quickly because now you had to find someone who owned a car that would fit the radio, and that usually had to be from the same manufacturer. So, why did it take car manufacturers so long, 30 years approximately, to even begin to offer car stereos that were anything beyond atrocious? Because they were old-school businessmen who, like IBM, saw no value in software. These old-school car guys saw themselves as iron and steel benders and not purveyors of audiophile electronics. We could also argue, why did Sony not get into the phone market when Apple did? But lots of stupid business world decisions. But unlike governments, at least businesses can fail, unless the government doesn't want them to, but that's another point entirely. But let's not give the auto manufacturers too much credit. There was also a massive profit motivation. If they could reap a few $100 extra on every car purchase just by selling what they called a stereo upgrade, they were going to do it. But a few hundred isn't what they wanted, so what I'm gonna say next will perplex, befuddle, and confuse you. Better car stereos are ruining car stereo. Ever since manufacturers woke up and decided to make profits on better car stereos, it's been downhill for you, the consumer. Instead of adding to the competition, they basically destroyed it. I'm gonna skip over a lot of progression in car audio electronics to get my point more, succinct. But today, to upgrade the OEM car stereo either requires you to rip out everything that came with your car and replace it. Sometimes, that most likely includes the built-in integrated display. Or, even if you find a way to bypass it completely, you will probably void your warranty. And because of built-in GPS information screens that tell you if something's wrong with your engine or other parts of the car, while also telling you what radio station you're on, or if it's Apple CarPlay or Android Auto being set, the vast majority of people simply aren't willing to change their factory-installed car stereo, even if they aren't happy with the sound. Thus, the vast majority are never going to upgrade their car stereo, even those who actually want to. The huge majority of car stereo upgrades, even for audiophiles today, is now just the speakers or maybe adding amplification. The heart and soul of the car stereo, the head unit, is dead. Now, if you know nothing about car stereo and see the latest commercials, you would think we've entered into the golden age of car stereo. 8 speakers are common, 30 isn't unheard of. You've even got what many people think are the best companies designing these advanced car stereo systems, including AKG, Bang & Olufsen, Bose, Burmester, Harman Kardon, JBL, Klipsch, Mark Levinson, Meridian, and Revel. And there are others as well in the luxury cars that are far more outside the mainstream, so what the heck am I talking about? I just listed off 8 quality manufacturers of car stereos, many of whom are pretty good at making audio products. This sure seems like a golden age. But this is no golden age. First, let's get one fact out of the way. Nearly all basic car stereos still aren't good. Some of the ones made by the manufacturers just mentioned are only decent, and only a few are actually very good. So you aren't going to be able to get the base car model and upgrade the stereo system, not doing it on your own at least, without spending many, many thousands of dollars to pull off that little trick. So let's take a quick look at Crutchfield, who sells lots of car stereos, or at least used to, and look at some of the most popular vehicles sold. The Honda Accord? Sorry, the items in this category won't work for your vehicle. Toyota Camry? Sorry, the items in this category won't work for your vehicle. The Ford F-150? Sorry, the items in this category won't work for your vehicle. Chevy Silverado? Sorry, the items in this category won't work for your vehicle. Kia? Sorry, the items in this category won't work in your vehicle. Simply put, you're really not going to buy a third-party stereo system for any of these popular cars, probably any cars now. You get the picture. You have two options. Get the crappy stock stereo system, or add a package that includes the upgraded system from the car manufacturer, plus a whole lot of stuff you may not want, simply to get a better stereo. And if that isn't a great stereo, well, too bad, you're out of luck. Out. I have yet to see a single car that simply allows you to add the upgraded stereo without moving up either a model or adding an entire package of accessories. Yes, there is no question that stock car stereos today are better than they were 20, 30, 40 years ago. I'd even go further and say they are leaps and bounds better. But without competition, we're stuck with whatever the manufacturer wants to overcharge us for. And overcharge they do. Let's go back to those most popular models, and if you just want to upgrade to the best car stereo system for that model, that make of car, well, this is what it's going to cost you. You start with the base Honda Accord, the LX, which starts at $29,000 in the US. But they only offer one trim with their top-line Bose system, and that's the Touring Edition, which starts at $39,375 in the US. But the JBL system is only available starting with the XLE trim, which costs $35,200. Not as bad as the Honda's $10,000 upgrade, you say? Well, the JBL is only available in the XLE, but you still have to pay another $3,800 for the premium package that includes the JBL stereo. So $1,000 to upgrade the Camry to the best audio system. The Ford F-150 with a base F-150 going for just under $40,000 already has you spending a lot on this vehicle. But Ford will give you a 14-speaker plus subwoofer Bang & Olufsen system in the Lariat trim. Lariat, I don't know how to pronounce it. With that package, you can enjoy better sound for just under $40,000. That's another $40,000 on top of the base price. You essentially have to double the vehicle's price to get to their top-line stereo. Chevy Silverado, certainly the common man's truck, offers a more economical option, and Chevy delivers. While their base model is about $37,000 US, you can get the Bose in the RST trim for only $52,600. A damn bargain compared to the F-150. But is it better or the same quality? Who knows, but it sure costs a lot less, only $17,000 more than the base model. Kia Telluride, the low-cost manufacturer, starts the Telluride at $36,500. They offer the Harman Kardon upgraded stereo in the SX model, which starts at only $46,200. So, $10,000 for their best sound option. Basically, these manufacturers are saying only our richest and most exclusive customers deserve better sound. And by no means am I saying the upgrade stereos in the cars I just mentioned are great, they're just the best option available. So for about $10,000, which is the cheapest option to upgrade your car stereo, that is an enormous price tag. Yes, the manufacturers will argue you're getting other features as well, but that only means you're paying for things you may not want or may not even ever use. And we haven't even discussed depreciation. There is no such thing as a forever car. At some point in time, someone is going to buy your rusted-out piece of garbage for pennies on the dollar. Your $110,000, or even for the F-150, $40,000 in accessories cannot be transferred to your next car purchase. So where would we be today if competition still existed? Well, many well-learned people would say that you can't know what could be since there is no way to prove what doesn't exist. Those people are morons and don't know how to use science. A quick look at home stereo shows that what should be happening in car stereo is happening in home stereo. Right now, I can get PQ on a $115 dongle. I can buy all sorts of products with room correction. Almost no room needs more correction than a car. Why doesn't every car have room correction? I don't know, because even the cheapest AVRs have it. How good is that car amp? How good are those car speakers? Has anyone seen any measurements on any of these car stereos? Probably not, because the car stereo industry is essentially monopolies controlled by each auto manufacturer. Car stereos may be better than they were 30 years ago, But unlike home audio, it costs 50 times more and has essentially zero choice. Sadly, I see no end in sight to the mess of the car stereo industry. The profits are most likely larger than some extreme high-end home stereo components. You know, the ones that look like flying jewelry and sound worse than most everything else you can buy. That's the current state of car stereo today. You might, just might, get a decent sound system and you will pay an exorbitant amount for it. So the next time someone says you paid $5,000 for your stereo setup, ask them how much they paid for their car stereo.